Hello friends, and welcome back to Mama Leighellen's Book Nook. I am Leighellen, and this is my Nook, and this is where we chat books. No. Today I have a massive book haul for you. I spent last weekend in the mountains and skied with my family and came home to a ginormous stack of books. So on my Instagram account I have posted them, but I wanted to share each book here because the beauty of BookTube is time. So I have space and time to be able to share each book and chat about it so that you can decide if it's a book that you want to order or not. They're all books that are coming out this next month. Most of them have either late February or March publications. A couple of them are already out this month. So stay tuned and check out some of these books. So let me talk to you a little bit about this book haul. This book haul is all books that publishers have sent me. I have a couple signed influencer contracts with some publishing agencies, and I also work closely with 2 book tour agencies. So these are all gifted copies of books, and these are all books that either are coming out or are newly released. Some of these are ARCs, which are advanced reader copies, so these are books that aren't out yet, but I will chat with them about you. But legally I need to state that these books are free. They were gifted to me in exchange for an honest review. Now with that said, I will say the cool thing about the way influencer contracts work is they don't just send me random books. They usually the month prior to release, I get an email with a bunch of books and they let me choose which ones I want. So these are all books that I would have chosen anyways or would have walked to my local bookstore and purchased. So even though these are sent for free, these are all books that I have chosen and books that I'm excited to read and would have purchased anyways, even if they weren't given to me. So keep that in mind. But legally I have to tell you they were gifts. So let's get started. First up is Band of Sisters, which is historical fiction, which is one of my favorites. And this is set in World War I. So for those of you that are participating in the Curly Readers Historical Fiction-a-thon, what is it called? This is a World War I book, so you could mark off the non-World War II book. The non-World War II square in the bingo game that she has going on. Okay, with all of that said, this book, The Band of Sisters, is about a group of college girls from Smith College that go to France. And it's like an exchange program that they will go and volunteer and help during the war. So it follows, there are 17 girls that end up going, and they're given money and supplies and good intentions, but of course they have no idea what they're going to find. They're college kids, and they end up in the middle of France in this war and start, I think they're thinking that they're going to help soldiers, but of course they end up helping families that are torn up and children and women that have been abandoned. And so I think this is going to be a story of friendship, of perseverance, of overcoming hardships, because all of these girls are going to come in contact with scenes that they have never seen before and people that are different from them. And it's going to be interesting to see if they, come together and rise up and how they communicate during crisis. So this is Band of Sisters from William Morrow. This book will come out on March 2nd, so stay tuned for that. Put this on your Goodreads to be read list or wish list. The next book that I have to share with you is called Sparks Like Stars by Nadia Hashimi. This is another William Morrow book, and this is also out March 2nd. This is a dual timeline historical fiction book that follows an Afghan American woman living in New York, and she's a surgeon, she's successful, she's adopted an American name. I want to say, it's Ariana Shepard is her American name. And she fled Afghanistan when she was 10 years old, and her family was murdered. And she was adopted by this American diplomat and grew up in America. And at some point in this story, a man comes into her hospital and she realizes it's someone from her past, and she is, drawn to answers. She's angry about what happened to her and her family, and she wants to know the truth. So she goes back to Kabul and tries to learn more about her family and her history and the situation that happened. And so the dual timeline, then it goes back to like the 1970s. And so then this book really gets into the history of Afghanistan and what kind of what was the tipping point in the 70s that created all of this conflict that has gone on for decades since, as it explores Afghanistan both before and after the communist coup. I think this is going to be a winner because it's going to be emotionally driven. I love historical fiction that is passionate, and I think this is going to be a fantastic book about survival and about family and about history and about culture. I also love books that have a strong heroine, and it sounds like this young woman is smart and passionate and resilient. So that is Sparks Like Stars. Look for this March 2nd from William Morrow. Gosh, 2 books in and I'm already like dying of thirst. Coffee, y'all. Oh, I do want to point out a million little pages on Instagram made me this mug. She makes custom mugs. She also has really cute ones that just say like book babe or book lover. So check her out. All right, back to books. Okay, the next book I have is a memoir. I read a lot of these because I'm always inspired by people's stories and how they learn and change and grow, and this one should be great because this is Priyanka Chopra Jones, and she has quite an incredible life. She, grew up, she was born in India, moved to America, did her teen years in the United States, goes back to India, becomes I think Miss World, and becomes a Bollywood actress, and now you probably know her as Mrs. Nick Jonas. So I just think she's got a great story. she is a UNICEF Goodwill ambassador, and I think she is really inspirational and courageous and spunky. Here's a little Goodreads blurb for you. The flavor of the book will be honest, she says. This will be funny, spirited, bold, and rebellious, just like me. So I am excited to try this one out. It's pretty short, but I think it should be fun. And she has pictures in here, which I always think is super fun, like of her performing, and then there's her wedding pictures in here, which are spectacular because their weddings are amazing. Like, look at all of these people. It's so pretty. So I'm really, really excited about this one. Should be fun. This one is actually out now. The publisher date was February 9th, and it is from Ballantine Books. This book is called Landslide by Susan Connolly. This is already out. This came out February 2nd, and this is from Knopf Publishing. This was a recommendation from my friend Sue the Bookie. She's another Colorado mama, but she thought I would love this because it is a mama book. This is the story of a woman who has 2 sons, and her husband is injured in a fishing accident, so she is left to raise these 2 children on her own. Her husband's injury means that they are separated. He was injured up in Canada, so he's in the hospital, and then it also means that they are short on money. He's not working, so she's struggling to pay bills. She's struggling to raise these boys, and the boys are starting to act out. So it's a story of motherhood, of marriage, of parenting. So I'm the mother of 3 boys. I feel like this one will really pull me in. I've heard it's heartbreaking, but I also love stories full of passion and emotion like that. It's supposed to be a, modern take on current day marriages with, Instagram posts and cross-continental conversations and heart-to-heart conversations and just modern day trials and tribulations of raising children. I love books that are devoted to families, and this kind of looks at how to remain a family when you're in the middle of crisis and what that looks like and what you do to survive. So Landslide is out now by Knopf Publishing and Susan Connolly. More coffee, my friends. Long coffee breaks are getting me through this. You guys, I have so many books. I might have to make this 2 videos. Like, we've only done 4 books, and there's 4 more. So there's 16 more to go. Hang in there. We'll get through this with more coffee. The next book is Lenora in the Morning Light by Michaela Carter. And this is an ARC that was sent to me. So this actually doesn't come out for a while. It says April 6th is the release date. And this is from Avid Reader Press. This has got a lot of hype about it. Oprah Winfrey has named this her most anticipated historical fiction book of the year. And LitHub is calling this the most anticipated book of 2021. So a lot of hype around this one. I'm excited to dive in. So let me just chat with you a little bit about what it's about. This is about the artist Lenora Carrington and her art and drama and life all as coming of age in World War II. It's really about this love affair between Lenora, who is a British socialite, and Max, an older married artist. And their love affair continues throughout a move to Paris. But then, of course, World War II happens, the Nazis come, and Max is arrested. And so this one sounds like it's going to have a little bit of everything. It's going to have art because she's an artist and he's an artist, and it's going to have drama. It's going to have, Nazis, World War II, camps. It's going to have romance. So Hitler at one point denounced the entire surrealist artistic movement as being degenerate. And so anyone that was a part of that movement was sent to concentration camps. And that's what happened to Max. And so they're separated for a while. And so there's parts of the story that are told separately, and then they're reunited again. At one point, I think she's even sent to an asylum. So there's all kinds of drama in this one. I'm really curious to see how this unfolds. So this is Lenora and the Morning Light. Comes out April 6th. It's written by Michaela Carter, and it's from Avid Reader Press and Simon & Schuster. So this next book definitely wins for most stunning cover. Like, seriously, I'm in love with this. Home is Not a Country. This is a YA book written in the vein of Elizabeth Acevedo, who is one of my favorite YA authors right now with her poetry style, her written poetry style. This is by Sophia El Hilo. So this is a novel told in verse that is about family, identity, and finding yourself and who you are. This is a story about a young girl, Nima, who feels really misunderstood. She doesn't really fit in her suburban town. She doesn't get along great with her mom. She is a teenager growing up in America, but she comes from an Arab-speaking country. They don't really mention where she's from. You just know that she is feels like an outsider because of where she comes. She is lonely and struggling and just feels misunderstood. And because of her skin color and her heritage, she is ridiculed at school. She's called a terrorist. This is post 9/11, so she feels a lot of that just generational trauma from that event and how she's treated at school. She's mocked for her religion. She's shamed. She's bullied. And so to escape this current lifestyle that she lives, she begins to create this fantasy version of herself that is different. And she finds her real name is Yasmin, and so she dreams up this whole story of Yasmin, who grows up in her homeland and is surrounded by people like her and feels secure and confident in who she is. It sounds like there's also a touch of magical realism where at some point she kind of goes into this dream-like state where she sees her life unfolding differently. Now, I love magical realism, but I know that's not everybody's cup of tea, so I'm letting you know ahead of time. If you enjoy that sort of thing, I think this will be cool. And again, it is written in verse, so that is also a little different. So I think it's going to be super creative because you've got this poetry written in verse story, and then you have magical realism. So it has the ability to just kind of transcend the story and just be beautiful. I think it's going to touch on a lot of current topics like racism, xenophobia, poverty, being an immigrant in this country, and bullying. So I'm really looking forward to this. This is YA. This is Sophia El Hilo. Home is Not a Country. And the release date on this is March 2nd. From Get Underlined. And this was sent to me by Storygram Tours, so I will be doing a book tour for this, so watch out for that because usually there are giveaways associated with that. So if you follow me on Bookstagram, this one will probably be given away. All right, the next one I have is also historical fiction. This is called When We Were Young by Jacqueline Goldis, and this comes from Read Forever Pub and Grand Central Publications. And Read Forever books, they are always romance. So this is going to be a historical romance. This one's out now. This was just released February 16th, so you can pick this up now from Read Forever Pub. And this is also a dual timeline book. I'm excited for this because it's multi-generational, which I love multi-generational stories. I love family drama. This is a dual timeline. This is the story of 3 generations of women coming together. This story starts with Sarah in 1942, and at the time she is 16, and her biggest stress is like who she's going to marry because her family says that she has to marry another Jewish man, but she is in love with this fisherman from the village. And then the Nazis invade, and so then her whole life is turned upside down. The story continues in 2004 with Sarah's daughter, Bea, and all we know about this part of the story is that there's some secret that we don't know that is going to be revealed while they're on vacation. Then the family drama continues now in 2019 when you have the next daughter, Joey, who is days away from marrying this nice Jewish boy that her family has planned for her to marry, when Leo, who is a blast from her past from 15 years ago, comes back into her life to announce why he broke up with her all those years ago. So it's supposed to have lots of history and family drama and romance. So obviously where there's weddings concerned, there's drama. So this has some family drama and romance and history all thrown in together. I think it's going to be more of a fun, lighter read. This is going to be, I would put this in the category more of women's fiction and historical romance, and a generational story about women finding out who they really are and what they are about. I think it will be cool to see these women come together and support each other as they, figure out what's really going on with all these family secrets. That is When We Were Young, out February 16th from Forever Publishing. Next up, I'm so excited about this book. Okay, can I show you how pretty? Can you see how pretty this cover is? I'm dying. Okay, so March, one of the things that I love about March, and it's funny because I'm only new to BookTube, but last year I participated in a BookTube-a-thon with Liv's Library, and she's the one that introduced me to middle grade March. So I read a bunch of middle grade stories, and it was like the highlight of my year. So I'm really excited to actually be on BookTube this year and get to participate in middle grade March. So this is going to be one of my middle grade books that I read in March. This is Eva Evergreen, The Semi-Magical Witch. Actually already out now by Little Brown Publishing and Julie Abe. Now this story follows this adorable young witch who is trying to earn the title of novice witch before her 13th birthday. And if she doesn't, she loses her magic forever. The only problem is she's not so great at magic. So they have these 3 things that you have to learn how to do in order to get your novice witch license, and she can't seem to do them. She kind of she's supposed to make flowers and she ends up making cabbage. And when she's supposed to make it rain, she ends up getting sunburned. So she is, awkward, and like all of us when we were 13, I just picture this 13-year-old witch just going why can't I figure this stuff out? And it just sounds adorable. She ends up going to this little town and setting up this semi-magical witch shop where she's able to help the village people with their problems. They bring things to her and she fixes them with her magic. It just sounds adorable, first of all. I love middle grade books because they just always end up being little rays of sunshine in my life. And this one is filled with friendship and, determination, willpower, and explains the importance of having a good support system to help you believe in yourself. There's a little touch of Japanese influence in this. I think I'm going to fall in love with Eva. She sounds like she is just determined and passionate and sweet and really wants to prove herself. So this is going to be one of the books that I read for middle grade March. Eva Evergreen, The Semi-Magical Witch, is out now by Little Brown Publications. Oh, we're halfway there. Oh, living on a prayer. Okay, that was just wrong. We're halfway there, folks. Ooh, that was half the stack. There's half the books. All right, we got 8 more to go. Okay, I'm going to mix things up for a minute just to give you a little book break. I have some I can't speak. I don't know if it's non-bookish mail. It's not non-bookish mail because it's bookish. Okay, I have some non-book mail, but it is still bookish, so it's still going to fit this segment beautifully. I got my most recent rep package from Book Babe Designs. And so I'm a rep for her. She makes stickers and bookmarks and prints and temporary tattoos and all sorts of fun, beautiful designs for bookish people like me. So I'm gonna share a couple of these with you because my shipment just came and it'll give us a little break from my book mail. So even though I'm sure you're here for the book mail, but whatever. All right, first up, this is beautiful. She has this print. Can you see that? This is a 5x7. It also comes in 8x10. So I will put that on my wall. She has some bookmarks. One of these, this is, ooh, I did that wrong. This one first. This is for Hermes Crescent City. And then this other bookmark, it's upside down, this way. Can you read that? So this is from Blood and Ash. This is the Blood and Ash series. And this is a magnet. This will go on my book cart, I think, probably. Perfect. And then there's a little sticker. A reader lives 1,000 lives, which those Addie fans out there, you will love this one. That is gorgeous. And then she started making these temporary tattoos, which I think is super fun because, hello, I'm over 40 and you just don't run out and get tattoos when you're 40, but this I can buy into. So let me open this and show you. Okay, this is a temporary tattoo, which I thought was really cute. I could pretend to have some cool book tattoo when I'm not actually cool enough to get a real tattoo. I'll just let. Okay, so those are from Book Babe Design. I will link below or above somewhere around here. I will put her Instagram, but she also has a website, so I'll probably put both on here because she's worth checking out. She's a great gal. She's got a great shop. She even does these cool like book dividers. You can't really call them bookmarks because they're like jewelry. Like she literally creates these beautiful gem-stoned pieces of that are put together with like metal and string that like go through your book. They're stunning. I'm describing it terribly. I don't have one yet because they sold out in like 15 minutes. So I didn't get one last time, but I am gonna order them next time. So that was my rep package from Book Babe Designs. Let's go back to books. Okay, I actually have one more thing to show you. This wasn't from my rep package this time. This was last month's rep package, but I didn't have BookTube yet, so you didn't see this yet. And I just thought it was beautiful, and so I really want to show it. This is a quote from Sarah Mays's Crescent City, and I love this. If she could make this on an actual black denim jacket, that would be dope, and I would totally buy it. But for now, I just have to have the print. So check out, can you see that? It's kind of, I'm in a window, so it's kind of shiny, but it says, "Through love, all is possible." So that's gonna go on my wall behind me. I love it. I love her. Books, 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 books. All right, friends, we got more books. All right, the next stack is going to include these bad boys. So let's talk books. Next up is The Secret Lives of Baba Segis' Wives. This is actually out now. This is a reprint brought to you by William Morrow Books. I want to say it used to be called The Secret Lives of Four Wives, maybe? Secret Lives of Many Wives? So this book is literally about polygamy in Nigeria. Baba Segi is a man who has 3 wives and 7 children and a big old mansion. This is a look at polygamy in Nigeria, and it's an interesting take on sexual exploitation, family, and politics. This is an entertaining and eye-opening look at polygamy in modern-day Nigeria. It is a complex situation, and so this really just looks at it head-on and doesn't sugarcoat it with how it works in this type of a family. There's hypocrisy, there is hierarchy, there's interior agendas of each woman. So this is out now, William Morrow Books, The Secret Lives of Baba Segis' Wives. Okay, next up is a book that I am totally looking forward to because I love this author. Vera Heron is so much fun, so engaging. She writes really diverse, lively, spunky characters in the rom-com world, and I am super excited about this one. It features a couple who love cooking and food, which, me too. story follows this girl, Rina, who lives in an apartment complex and has kind of overbearing parents that are really trying to hook her up with the right Muslim man. And her dad ends up moving in one of his employees across the hall so that she can get involved with him. She loves to cook, and she loves, like all of us, sourdough bread. So she's got these sourdough starters, and he likes eating her bread. So they end up kind of bonding over food, and a relationship ensues. And so that's this cute little rom-com. I think this one is going to be kind of about overcoming parental expectations, getting over your ideals of how things should be, and moving past complicated pasts. So sweet, fun, rom-com, also filled with diversity and good food, so count me in. Also, the author sent me a recipe, so I'm kind of excited about this. It is Rina and Nadeem's naan, so I think I'll be making that when I read this book. This book comes out March 2nd and is from Read Forever Pub and Grand Central Publications and Farrah Heron, which we love. So if you follow me at all, you'll know that I love YA stories. They are endearing, they're inspiring, they are fun. And I also love nonfiction books for those same reasons. So this is kind of the combination of both. It has 30 true stories of teenagers from across the world that have overcome things. They have different goals, they have different perspectives, maybe different religions, different backgrounds, but they all persevered somehow. And so it's an inspirational look at how these girls have overcome adversity. Inside, there's a picture of each girl, but it also is very interactive. There's stories, there's clips, there's comics. There's a whole bunch of different ways to engage with this book. Poetry, written word. And it just proves that, like, you can do anything. This is one of those books that is meant to inspire you, and that you have that power within you to create change, whatever that looks like for you and however you can affect that. So this book asks, like, what do you want to do and how can you tap into the confidence within you to make these things happen? And so you can read these stories and be inspired by these other girls and get inspiration for ways that you can affect change in your community in a positive way. This comes out next week, February 23rd, from Harper Kids. The next story is Silence is a Sense, and this I'm doing with Storygram Tours, so stay tuned for my review and a giveaway on Bookstagram. And this is brought to you by Algonquin Books, and this book comes out March 16th. This is the story about immigration and family trauma and trying to find yourself. It's about this young girl that was traumatized by all she saw in Syria as she fled to the UK, fleeing her war-torn country. And because of all that she witnessed, she becomes mute. And then you find her in America, and she is watching the drama of her neighbors ensue and begins to sink deeper and deeper into isolation. But while doing so, she begins to write. And as she writes, she creates this column for the newspaper called The Voiceless. And in this column, she tries to explain the immigration experience and the trauma, the devastation of trauma, and like the ripple effects of trauma. She tries to explain the refugee experience without sensationalizing it, not sugarcoating it either. At one point, there is an anti-Muslim hate crime in her neighborhood, and she has to make the decision to remain voiceless or to speak up about her experiences. So this book explores what it means to be an immigrant in this country, what it means to seek asylum, and gives a voice to the voiceless. It also explores how we fundamentally need each other and need connection. The next book is a romance book. This is called Moments Like This. This takes place in Hawaii, so for those of us that can't travel, this is sounding like a really good book to read right now. This is the start of a new series called From Kona with Love that will all take place on Hawaii. This is a multicultural romance that deals with love and loss and redemption. The story follows this woman named Andy who chooses her career over marriage, and shortly after that decision loses her job. So she's kind of going through this crisis. She decides now's the perfect time to just take a break from life, reset. She gets a job with a friend at a friend's coffee shop. And as she's working at this little coffee shop, she just comes to really love her employees and her job. And in walks this mysterious man, and they quickly share coffee and connect, and from then on you have a little romance. So romance in Hawaii, light, fun. That's what this one is about. This looks like this will be out March 9th from Rosewind Books, and this is part of Storygram Tours, so this will be a tour book that you will see on my Bookstagram account, so stay tuned for a giveaway for this one. I am super excited about this book. This is The Light Through the Leaves. So first of all, hi, gorgeous cover. But secondly, this is the next book by the author that wrote Where the Forest Meets the Stars. So I really enjoyed that book, so I'm really looking forward to this one. This book will be released April 1st from Lake Union Authors, and I love Lake Union Authors. I feel like their authors are awesome, and every one of their books I love, so I'm really excited for this one. This is the story of a woman named Ellis, and she leaves her daughter for a few minutes, and her daughter is abducted. When she goes back, she's gone, and it breaks her marriage, and she goes to a really dark place and is feeling really isolated, is grieving, is blaming herself, and she makes the decision to leave her husband and her 2 young sons. It is also the story of this young girl named Raven who lives in the wilderness of Washington and is so remote that she's not allowed to speak to outsiders. Her mom is always warning her of the dangers of the outside world, but Raven finds herself longing for something more. So these 2 stories converge. This is a poetic story about love and loss and the journey through grief. I think after everything that we've endured in 2020, that this will be just the perfect book at a perfect time, because it centers on nurturing yourself and letting yourself heal, and you know, the ways that we deal with grief and the ways that we can rise up from the ashes. I also really love how this author writes her characters. They always are so real and relatable and flawed and beautiful, and so I'm really looking forward to this emotional drama. So this is The Light Through the Leaves. This comes out April 1st from Lake Union Publishing. I am super excited about this book. This book was a recommendation to me from my friend Lauren of the Book Script over on Bookstagram. She raved about this one, and I will read anything that woman tells me to read because she has great taste. So I requested this book and the author sent it to me, so thank you for this copy. This book takes place in 14th century Athens. The main character is a thief and a slave who has lived her entire life in bondage. And then at one point in the middle of the mission, her life gets totally thrown off course when she meets a stranger, and it changes everything. This is from Covenant Communications, so this has a Christian element to it. It also has romance, danger, intrigue. As she becomes friends with this man who interrupted her mission, they grow together, and she, learns that she can have more of an identity than just a slave and a thief. So I love stories of human growth and change. So this is out now. It was out February 8th from Covenant, and it's of Sword and Shadow. The sun is setting and I'm losing my good light, so the rest of this video will struggle, but this is my last book and it is the one I'm really excited about, so we gotta do it. This is the inspiring true story of Mallory Wegman, who is a Paralympic gold medalist. Check her out. She is the Paralympic gold medalist. She is a sports commentator. She has won an ESPY, and her story is just full of just hope and joy and overcoming, and I'm super inspired by her. The story starts in 2008 with her story of how she became paralyzed. She had a routine medical procedure and ended up paralyzed. Goodreads says that in the 2012 Paralympic Games, she held 15 world records and 34 American records. So this is her story of determination and grit and resolve. She wants you to redefine your limitations, to be willing to fail, to remember that healing is not linear or chronological. It takes time. And her story reminds us that no matter what you are going through, whatever obstacles you face, you can overcome them. So I'm really excited about this inspirational story. It is a short one, and let's see, this comes out March 2nd from Thomas Nelson. So look for that. Okay, friends, so here's the stack. Here's the stack we've got. So I'm gonna get reading, and I will write reviews for each one of these books. I usually read a book a day, but since some of these have publications of April, you might not see them for a little while. But that is this round of this week's book mail. Thank you, as always, for stopping in. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for hanging out with me. As always, subscribe, comment below. Actually, comment below. I would love to know of this massive stack of books, what is the one that is most intriguing to you? I do have a giveaway going on through, I think, Sunday, tomorrow, today, probably by the time this posts. And you are welcome to let me know below which book you would want to win. And I'm giving away 2 of them. So even if you don't have Instagram, you can comment here below and win a book. So thanks so much for stopping by. I'll see you next time. Have a great day.
Unless it's real, a slippery slope, it's not